Welcome into LFFL Primetime. Everything you need to know in just 5 minutes. Going to get you started in the original league over here. Todd, a convincing win to lock in the top seed for the playoffs. It was actually Todd's 10th consecutive win in this league. That is now tied for the second longest winning streak of all time. The record, 12 by Ben a number of years ago. You know what that means? If Todd can lift that trophy at the end of this thing, Todd can actually tie Ben for that record. Miles beats Josh. Andy beats Greg. Phil beats Eric in a close one. I was able to beat Matt. Look at your standings, Todd, 11-3 after that 10-game winning streak. He gets a bye week. I'm 10-4. I get a bye week. Miles, Josh, Greg, Bill are your final playoff teams. Eric and Andy sitting just a game out at 5-9. Phil and Matt are finished in the basement. We will have a huge preview, separate video to preview the playoffs for the LFFL. Moving on to the LFFL 2. Merrill's huge win over Greg, a costly loss for Greg. Andy beats Todd, which means Andy now moves 2 games ahead of Greg. And if you look at my note over here, week 17, Andy taking on Greg. Could down to all the marbles right here, like the 49ers and Cowboys back in the early 90s. We're looking at these two teams, right? Only 2 teams realistically that can win this thing at this point. Heading down that collision course. Other winners this week, Eric, Sean, and Bill, 3-4-5. All kept within shouting distance if something catastrophic happens to Andy or Greg. Week 15, Andy taking on Phil, Greg taking on Bill, Eric taking on Todd, Merrill's taking on Miles, Sean taking on myself. LFFL 3, Phil takes out Eric, locks in the top seed. Bill beats Matt, ends Matt's playoff hopes, and also gives Bill the bye week because Matt Brennan and Eric both suffered losses this week. Bill moves in the bye week. In spite of being 8th in the league in scoring, he gets that bye week. Is this Bill's Super Bowl? This would be the Billest thing to do ever, right? Not a great team, doesn't score a lot of points, gets the bye week, goes on and wins his first Super Bowl. Could this be the year? It might be. Todd wins over Miles to firm up that final playoff position for himself. Greg beat Matt Brennan. We had Andy, high score of the week, beating Nate. Sean beating myself in the battle for 10th place. Doggone, I settle for 11th. Let's look at your wild card weekend over here. Number 3, Matt Brennan taking on number 6, Todd. In your regular season, Todd, the week 2 winner over Matt Brennan, a fairly convincing win. Matt Brennan, however, has won 6 of his final 7 games. His second straight playoff appearance in 2 years in this league. 1-1 career record, won in the wild card weekend last year, went on to lose in the semifinal. As for Todd, he alternated wins and losses until week 11, then won 3 of his final 4. He's returned in the playoffs for the first time since 2016 when he was the auction champion. His 2-3 record in the playoff games in his career, 0-3 in the wild card round. Todd has had trouble getting out of this round in his history. Let's look over here at number 4, Eric taking on number 5, Miles. These 2 teams played back in week 9, a 2-point win over Eric. If you will recall, Miles was 8-0 at the time. However, boy, have these 2 teams gone in different directions. Since that game, Eric has won 5 of his final 6 games. It is his 3rd straight playoff appearance, 6 playoff trips in his last 7 seasons, 7-7 record, and overall in the playoffs. A 2-time runner-up, 2011, 2015, and 5-2 in wildcard games. Eric looks to be the favorite here because Miles, after that 0-8 start, hasn't won a game. Miles dropped his last 6 games. This is his 3rd season, his 3rd playoff appearance. He has bowed out in the wild card each of those first 2 times. So, Eric looking good, and then we have a fun one between Matt Brennan and Todd. Let's see what happens this week. LFFL 4, congratulations to Todd, win number 3 this year. Your other champions, I won Thursday Night Football. Miles won Monday Night Football. Miles and Greg now tied at the top. Eric a point back. I'm 2 back. Still in the mix. LFFL 5, Greg is now leading by 20 over Bill. Eric, 28 over me. Should be an exciting final week of the semifinals coming up here. LFFL 6, Josh flies up into first place from 4th place. Ties Greg at the top. Part of the reason, February changed hands again. This one changed over to Josh. Slick, just a little bit back. Phil, Matt Merrill, myself, all clinging to faint hopes. LFFL 7, Sean is your champion this year. He put up a big score again this week. Greg had no answer this week. Greg ultimately finishes 2nd. This is Sean's first ever LFFL title. Congratulations to Sean. Finished on a tear. High-scoring team 4 of the last 5 weeks. LFFL 8, Phil is cruising to a win over here. Yet another high score. 5th time in the last 10 weeks to been the high score. He's now almost 300 points up on me in 2nd place. And finally, LFFL 9, Phil, the early lead over Todd in the 3-week championship round. LFFL Player of the Year, Greg still leads. Josh jumps to 2nd. Good luck this week.